Mishmash! Kitbash Corner!
Yeah, today we're doing a continuation video from last week's update on my Sons of Medusa army. By technicality, that was kind of the first, though I have made some characters, so if you want to check out those videos, please do. But in today's video, I want to go over building one of my favorite out-of-print Space Marine vehicles. This, of course, being the Space Marine Attack Bike. Like I mentioned in the previous episodes of this ongoing series, I am building this army for 7th edition. However, I'm also making some tweaks to be able to play it in 10th edition. The army itself is consisted entirely of Firstborn Space Marines, hence why I'm going after these out-of-print Firstborn vehicles. A lot of these vehicles have now been replaced with newer Primaris editions, which, to me, don't really meet the mark in terms of what I'm looking for. And though some of you may prefer the entirely grimdark side of 40k, I firmly believe that a little bit of whimsy is necessary to balance things out for a very functional and overall intriguing narrative. But I'm kinda yapping my head off for this intro, so before we get into all that kit-bashing goodness, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, share with a friend, hype the video if you're on mobile, and if you really dig it, consider becoming a channel member. For just $3 a month, you get to see my videos early, and for $5, you get access to a weekly Q&A stream, in which I'll showcase your models. You also get exclusive roles and channels within the Mishmash Discord, in which I'll frequently post some sneak previews, and overall, it just really helps me out. You're letting a guy do his dream job. Huge thank you to the channel members, you guys are amazing. And if you want to help the channel even further, as well as help yourself to amazing hobby products, be sure to use my Wargames Atlantic and Galeri affiliate link codes in the description. And don't forget to use the discount codes. But enough of the promotional stuff, I think it's about time I yap a little bit more about why I like this model so much. Now, to give a little background if you're not familiar with my content, I got into 40k around the midpoint of 7th edition. Now beloved models from this era were at one point rather scrutinized, at least to my knowledge. A lot of online discourse at the time found Centurions to be absolutely laughable and stupid, but with time, people now realize, and rightfully so, that Centurions are absolutely awesome. And you might think Mishmash was different, but no, I definitely wasn't. I thought Centurions were stupid, I thought the attack bike was a baby toy. But after years of seeing what has happened to the Space Marine line in terms of the vehicles especially, I can't help but love this thing. Which is why, even though this is a kit-bashing video, I'm primarily kit-bashing the riders more than anything else. But enough talk, I think we should actually get into the kit-bashing. But like I said, before we kit-bash anything, I gotta actually build the vehicle. And as far as older kits go, this build is... it's okay. I have actually built a Chaos bike before, which is not that much different. In fact, it's pretty much identical. But I'm reminded of why I'm very okay on building old Space Marine bikes. It's not incredibly challenging by any stretch of the imagination, and at first just simply sliding the tires on is kind of fun. But when you're dealing with two distinct halves of a vehicle, you don't have much margin for error. Any sort of separation between the pieces is very visible, hence why I had to use a little bit of Tamiya to really smooth things down. Every time the Tamiya dried, I'd have to go over with some of my Gundam sanders. However, again, it's not that big a deal. It's just a little extra work. After that, I can glue on the sidecar, and it actually fits really perfectly. This vehicle, and kit in particular, went through several different renditions over the years. At one point, the sidecar portion was entirely metal, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of metal models, within reason. Love the feeling, I like a heavy model, but sometimes paint does struggle to stick on metal models. And building metal models with plastic bits is not exactly my favorite. However, since this is entirely plastic, I do have the luxury of being able to sand things down easy, and if I really need to, cut things up. At the end of the day, the vehicle is not nightmarish to put together, it just shows a little bit of age. And you know what, at the end of the day, there's a slight part of me that kind of misses when there was a little bit more challenge to building models and preparing them. Don't get me wrong, I don't have the same stance I used to on old resin kits where it was basically dealing with a crumbly Ritz cracker. I'm not that much of a masochist, but I can't help but feel a little extra intimacy when working with a model that's a little bit extra and difficult to build. However, you will notice that with this figure, I'm doing something similar to last week's video. I'm going to be building everything separately. The bike and sidecar will be one singular piece, but the driver and gunner will be built separately as I'll have a lot more access to painting them. Like I showed in the previous episode too, my Marines are mostly consisted of Mark 6, Mark 4, and Mark 7. So instead of using the rather chunky old bodies, I decided to use, well, I guess comparatively newer torso pieces in the form of the Mark 4 armor. I also ended up having to snap the back peg off of the gunner as there is just not enough room for the seat. This is by design with the original build, so it's really no biggie. And considering there's maybe half a centimeter distance between the power pack or lack thereof and the seat, I didn't really feel like adding anything in terms of detail, because you're just not going to see it. I would then dryly fit the gunner arms onto the torso of the Marine, and I would fit on a couple of pauldrons from the Space Marine Artillery Squad from the Horus Heresy. The Rapier Squad Space Marines have been kind of a cornerstone of this army, serving primarily as my Devastators. However, their bits are very iron-handsy, and thus I decided to add them to this guy. However, I should make note that even though I added the pauldrons on, the arms are only dryly fit onto the body for now, as fitting this guy back into the Space Marine bike is a pain in the ass. But moving on to the driver, there's not much difference between him and the gunner. I would dryly fit him in place on the bike. However, I would glue the arms on in a bit of basically keeping him straight so it would actually fit on when I needed to put him back onto the bike. The base pose is fine, and it works out overall. The arms don't look too dated for the most part, but I did decide to change things up. However, I would also add on a power pack from the Mark IV kit, as that is also kind of a staple of the army. I'm a huge sucker for the gear cog. It just looks really cool. However, like I said, I ultimately decided to change things up on this guy, firstly by adding on a new arm, this being one from the basic Space Marine Tactical Squad set. I posed it lazily and off to the side, and I would add on a bolt pistol. It's nothing super fancy like I said, but I just think it looks cool, and that's all that really matters. There's a lot of different poses from the original Space Marine biker squads that are now long gone, and are pretty much exclusive to those kits alone, but with what I had to work with, this was nice, I like it. I then fit on a couple of basic bitch tactical pauldrons, as I kinda want to make each Marine look unique in its own way. And while it's tempting to kitbash every single Marine within the army, I do have an appreciation for the basic bitch Mark 7 Space Marine. Though of course, I will be kitbashing both of these guys in the form of their helmets later in the video. Again, Sons of Medusa helmets, so they gotta be white, so I have to separate them. But now that the two Marines were fully built, I decided to go on to customizing the bike itself. Firstly, by adding on their firearms. And yet again, I'm stealing from the artillery squad. Each member of the squad comes with a holstered bolt gun, and since I don't want my Marines to be unarmed, side of the bolt pistol of the driver, I figured this might be a nice addition. However, it did prove to be kind of a pain in the ass to glue on. You might not know, but the original kit actually does have a bolter that is holstered, sculpted with the bike, but it's one of those things that kind of shows its age. But I mostly didn't use it because it's actually supposed to be glued onto the side of the vehicle, and I don't really want to cover up any more green areas because I want it to stand out on the tabletop. Once the first one was sculpted onto the vehicle, I then dryly fit the gunner in place and glued in the multi-melta. I would have magnetized the heavy bolter and the multi-melta, but that would have required a lot of reconstruction of the vehicle, and I didn't really want to do that. The multi-melta was already what I was kind of settled on anyway. After doing so, I would then glue on the final pieces of the vehicle, this being the tactical wrap and an ammo box, as well as another holstered bolt gun. I will say the placement isn't great, but at the end of the day, it's the best I could work with without severe reconstruction. So, I'm happy with how it turned out overall. But once everything was mainly built on the vehicle, I then decided to drill out the actual figures and mount them onto little paper clips for easier painting. Unfortunately, this required drilling into their asses, but it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Very easy setup for saying that prepping models is a pain in the ass, but honestly I've actually taken quite a bit to doing so. Recently I've been rather obsessed with magnets, and it actually comes around again in this episode. I decided since I'm going to be proxying the bike for the ATV in 10th edition, I figured beefing it up just a little bit using an old Dreadnought base would be a good idea. However, I primarily want to run this guy in 7th edition, and he didn't have a base back then. So naturally, I had to turn to my old friend, magnets. I'd first start by setting the model onto the base in a way that it would actually sit on properly without looking awkward. Once it was on, I would then mark 3 distinct places where I could actually drill out and fit the magnets. These being the main 3 points of contact. That of course being the wheels. I would then drill out rough holes into each section, drilling primarily through the base and lightly into the bike, and I would go even further by hollowing it out and smoothing things, as I wanted to be able to fit in the magnets nicely, but not so loose that they would fall out. Like with the Dreadnought, I simply just had to use a little bit of super glue on the underside, and it settled in effortlessly. I know it seems tedious, but finding joy in doing the prepping of your models is really kind of a hack in its own. God knows there's been several times when I've wanted to work on models, but that means I have to prime it, that means I have to work on it, that means I have to pin it. Well, once you actually get the hang of it and have the proper tools to do so that just make it a lot more fun, mainly a Dremel, it's really just a breeze. And the satisfaction of sliding in the magnets into the perfectly sculpted drill bits is just immaculate. Only thing I really had to have patience for at this point was not fitting on the bike to the base immediately. I really wanted to do so, but once things were fully glued and dried, sure enough, it works perfectly. The magnets are settled into the bike enough that I can simply just lay it flat, and I can use the base in my leisure. But now that I have everything prepped, it was then time for painting. Now, again, in reference to the previous episode, I actually did paint up the Dreadnought in a pseudo step-by-step, but I think it's fun to showcase it anyway. As you can see, it was rather nice to be able to work on the miniatures separate from one another, as painting it all in one go would have been utterly nightmarish. There's so many areas of metallics that would be too close to one another for me to really work on in a nice, neat fashion. Plus, I end up using a ton of decals for these guys. Just goes to show yet again that my tediousness when it came to prepping the models is not in vain. Another great example is the decals themselves. I think a ton of novice painters really do deprive themselves of the joy of adding on decals, and a big reason why is it's not exactly fun for Space Marines, but once you get the hang of it and actually have the proper tools to do so, this just being some makeup sponges and some Tamiya Mark Fit, you can really add a lot of detail to your models that wasn't there before. And once I gloss varnish everything, I then decide to add on my secret ingredient. Well, it's not really secret, I've used it several times now. That being the dark rust wash from AK Interactive. This color in particular really makes the scheme for me, as it contrasts so nicely with the green. And with the decals properly prepped, it just makes everything look so tied together. Even though it is, at the end of the day, very weathered, it does look rather smooth. None of them feel out of place, none of them have any wrinkles or air bubbles, and they have the appropriate amount of weathering compared to the rest of the armor. And sure, it does look kinda ugly at this stage when we're initially wiping it off, but we gotta trust the process, as I had to do so with the Dreadnought. In fact, I kinda had some worries with both this and the previous models, but after seeing how the Marines turned out, I quickly realized that some parts I didn't really give enough time to fully dry. Reapplying is not that hard though, and after seeing how the Marine looked after properly following the recipe, it made me all the more confident. And it always ends up looking flat before the highlights, of course. Highlighting the vehicle itself was pretty fun, as it's a very blocky piece of equipment. All the places to highlight are very sharp corners, and it's really good for practicing your line work. I did end up going on a little messy with it too, of course, as if you know me, I like to have dirty beat-around Space Marines. Clean armor is not my thing, and I know it sounds like a cop-out, but shut up. Even with going on messily, it's still really fun to paint. And though I don't necessarily want to get another one of these models, as I'm pretty much just happy with one, I wouldn't mind painting some of the older bikes too. Though at the same time, I also have a bunch of the Chaos bikes, so I should probably work on that first, who knows. I'm kind of prioritizing this army right now in between other projects that I want to work on in between. And yes, I'm just gonna fill this in for comment bait. Let me know what other Space Marine chapters and Chaos Warbands you want to see next. But once everything was mostly highlighted, I would then add on the driver as well as the gunner, and I would properly give them noggins, this being the Rapier Squad helmets. Initially these were going to be used on the Devastators as well, but I think they fit better for vehicles. I'm planning on using one for one of the turrets of my tanks, and I really think it ties everything together with this model. But once the entirety of the main model was painted up, I would finish up the base and apply a heavy dusting of weathering powder to not only the base, but the vehicle itself, adding that nice contrasting yellowy dust that is in tune with the rest of my army. I will say, weathering powder is also one of those things that is definitely talent in a bottle. It's an incredibly underrated method for making your models just look all the more professional. But once the Cheeto dusting was finished, I would paint the rim of the base, and this vehicle is fully complete. I am incredibly happy with how this turned out. And the magnets below actually work with my mag case. This vehicle was an absolute delight to work on. Though of course, I am kicking myself slightly for never getting this model when it was abundant, and having to shell out a little extra because it's out of print. I'm ultimately really happy I finally got the opportunity to work on it. Though I'll be real with you, I really didn't have to pay that much extra than the initial retail price. By the time it was retired, this model was rather long in the tooth, so I don't think it was in high demand. Which is rather nice, because there is a good handful of models that I plan to get for this army that are out of print that will probably be agonizingly painful for the wallet. But regardless of that, I'm really pleased with this figure. And I'm glad that all my extra hard work on it really paid off in the end. I'm proud of how nice the magnetizing part of the base turned out, and overall, I'm just happy to finally have this in my collection. But there's plenty of other things that I do have on hand that I gotta work on, so I think I've definitely flattened my beak enough for one video. So like always, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, share with a friend, and remember to mishmash, kitbash, and paint some fantastic miniatures. You're gonna. I promise. See ya.